What's up, Leafers? This is Ben from Sisters in Smoke, and you're watching CigarNoise Weekly.
Thanks, Ben, and welcome back to CigarNoise Weekly. I'm Dave, your host, and this week Sam pairs the Serino Royale Maduro XX. Tyler polls Lake Country Cigars about rookie mistakes. Ed's got your cigar of the week, and Rich talks about size. So fire up one of your favorite cigars, pour yourself a glass of something that made me jealous. It's time to make some noise. Viaje has announced the black and white that will be shipping next week, taking aim at the black and white cookie. These cigars appear to feature Connecticut and Maduro wrappers accordingly. And Cigar Aficionado reports that scammers on Instagram have been using their handle to take cigar enthusiasts on Instagram for a ride. Cigar Aficionado asks to report any scammers using their name on Instagram by sending them a direct message to @CigarAficionado. And next we're headed to Rich to talk about size.
Let's talk about size. Not just the fact that cigars come in all different shapes and sizes, and also that the same cigar in a different size, the same blend in a different size, may taste different, and often does. There are a couple other facts about size that I'd like to share with you. One being that in his book, The Gourmet Guide to Cigars, Paul Garmirian, you may know him from PG Cigars, suggested a size based on your height and weight, saying that the cigar ought to match proportionally and blend harmoniously with your size and frame. Now, he doesn't have my height and weight on here, probably because my height and weight don't match. I should be very tall, according to this book. But he recommends a cigar size based on your size. I have no idea if that's a good idea or not, but I think it's interesting and a little bit different. One other sort of fascinating fact that I found about cigar sizes is that in what was previously Formosa, now in Taiwan, there's a tribe that had it set up where they believed that larger, fatter cigars were feminine. So the women smoked the large, fat cigars, and the men smoked small cigars, which they consider more masculine. That's a little bit different from what I typically hear from folks here, so I thought that was a pretty fascinating fact. You know what else is a fascinating fact? How absolutely wrong Ted was last week about Waterworld. That movie is incredible.
Thanks, Rich, and be sure to check him out at BooCowRich on Instagram. Now let's head over to Ted for your cigar of the week.
Hey guys, I'm here with your cigar of the week, but before we get started, let's address a little bit of a giveaway. I've got 2 questions from last week's CigarNoise Weekly video. The first 3 people that answer these 2 questions correctly, hit me up in my DM on Instagram. First 3 people are each going to win a trio of cigars straight out of my own humidor. What area did the wine come from that San reviewed in last week's video? And Rich clued you in on a recipe for something that does not sound delicious at all. What was that recipe for? Answer those 2 questions correctly. First 3 people are each going to win a trio of cigars out of my own humidor. All right, so on to this week's cigar of the week. Padron 90th Natural. Don't judge. And that's what my cigar of the week bit is about this week, is don't judge. Listen, if your cigar is a $6 cigar and it's what you like, then smoke it. And if the guy next to you is smoking that $6 cigar, don't judge. If that's what he likes, then who cares what he's smoking? You might ask, hey Ted, that cigar of the week that you got there, that Padron 90th, what kind of wrapper, binder, and filler does it have? Now listen, I do happen to know, because it's one of my favorite cigars, that it's a Nicaraguan Puro, but this is also a cigar that if I didn't know what the wrapper, binder, and filler was, I wouldn't care. I know I like it. Point is, there's enough judging going on in this world today without judging fellow cigar smokers. Yeah, I wouldn't be caught dead smoking that. Nobody cares. Padron 90th, listen, this is a Nicaraguan Puro. It costs you about $20. So you can give or take a few pennies here and there. What do I like about this? Some novelty things. I like the fact that it comes in a tubo. I like the fact that I believe it's the only, other than some of the 1000 series, it's the only round cigar that Padron puts out. It's not box pressed. I like that the draw is perfect every time. I like that the flavors are the same every time. I like that it's reliable. Every time I light it, it's going to give me trouble-free performance. It's going to smoke the same every time. It's going to kick out a ton of smoke. I'm not going to have to pick up my lighter, and I know exactly what to expect. And there's some value in that. Padron 90th, natural, $20. Hit me up on my DM, Instagram. Here it is again, one more time for those of you who didn't catch it. First 3 people to answer my 2 questions correctly, I'm going to send each of you a trio of cigars right out of my humidor. Sans wine from last week, where was it from? Rich's recipe from last week, what was it for? Answer those 2 questions. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, Ted, and be sure to check him out at Ted Runs Again on Instagram and submit your contest entries. Now let's see how Tyler's doing at Lake Country Cigars in Wisconsin.
This week at Lake Country Cigars, we asked the customers here any rookie mistakes they've made or that they've seen other people make.
I'm so old, Tyler, I forgot.
I've seen people cut an inch off the head of their cigar.
I hate when I see people in the humidor. Yeah, that smells all right. Nobody wants your booger cigars, so stop shoving them up your nose.
I'd say one of my biggest rookie cigar mistakes when I started smoking was thinking bigger ring gauge, darker wrapper means better cigar.
Rookie mistake that I've seen with my own eyes is the emulation of an old Western. I don't need a cutter. And it's like, you just stare and wonder, who is that guy's parents?
Licking the cigar before light or cut.
My biggest mistake when I was starting to smoke cigars was always regarding keeping it lit. Either not lighting it correctly to start or not touching it up when necessary. So I would just go like, shh, and the second smoke was out, like, oh, my work here is done.
My rookie mistake is not going to Lake Country Cigars sooner, because Lake Country has always been usually the first shop in Wisconsin to carry a certain brand. And the shop I used to go to a lot didn't have any small brands, they had all the big brands. So I feel like I missed out on a lot of that super limited, hard to find stuff.
I mostly find myself going for smaller, petite Coronas, Lanceros, Robustos now. Not every cigar can be judged by the color of the wrapper and how large it is. There's a ton that you're missing out on if you don't try some other things.
Be smoking down like a half inch, but my fingers would be burning because it was tunneling so bad. Or I'd have a canoe, like it would be like burned to here, but then like the very tip would still be, leaf on the bottom.
If it's a bad cigar, it's a bad cigar. They're rolled by hand. They're not all perfect. So if you have a bad cigar, take it to the lounge owner and say, look, I don't like the cigar. Can I please have a new one? They will replace it for you. Don't struggle through some explosion in your hand and just try to tough it out. Go get a better cigar, man. They're not all rolled perfect.
So I always try to say Don Pepin of my father's cigars, but they'll still say, oh, your father has a factory. I'm like, no, that's the name of the brand.
There was a guy like 2 weeks ago we were talking about stocks, and he was like, my father gave me my first 1,000 shares of Microsoft. And I was like, shit, where was I for that promotion?
What cigars do you enjoy? I'm like, I like my father's cigars, actually. It's one of my favorite brands. Like, oh, you smoke your dad's cigars. That's cool.
Signing off from the home lounge. That's all the time we have this week. Check out Cigar Noise Boys podcast with my co-host Dom, aka Cigar Analogies. This week it's just us two, so there's that. And see you guys next week. Back to you, Dave.
Thanks, Tyler, and be sure to check him out at VSoHorny on Instagram and check out the Cigar Noise Boys podcast that airs each week. And now let's check in with San for that wine and cigar pairing.
Hey y'all, it's your girl San here this week with Cigar Noise for your weekly Vino and Leaf pairing. For this week's Vino and Leaf pairing, we are traveling to France with the Laroque 2018 Cabernet Franc, and we'll be pairing that with the Serino 20th Anniversary Royale Maduro. Pretty much through the first third of the Royale Maduro, I always get these kind of cocoa dark chocolate notes, some baking spices. There's a cherry sweetness there too, and a little bit of black pepper. With this 100% Cabernet Franc, there's a sweet tobacco note, some chili peppers, and rhubarb. There's also a savoriness on this wine as well. Soft tannins, but the body or the weight of the wine is very lush. Continuing on the Serino 20th anniversary with baking spices, with the kind of cherry sweetness, black pepper, dark chocolate, and I'm beginning to get some roasted nuts in the second third. This particular Cab Franc is out of Carcassonne, which is in South Languedoc, France. Fact check me on that. And they are very well known for their Cabernet Francs, for their Pinot Noirs, and their Chardonnays. Pulling back a little bit as I've come into this second third, there's this savory barnyard note that's coming up now in the Serino 20th anniversary. Continuing with the cocoa and kind of dark chocolate and baking spice notes. This is making for a phenomenal pairing today. Damn, it's good. It's enhancing the rhubarb, black raspberry, savory bell pepper notes in the wine. I hope that you all have enjoyed your vino and leaf pairing with CigarNoise today. And by all means, have a great week.
Thanks, San, and be sure to check her out at Vino and Leaf on Instagram for all of your wine and cigar needs. And that's it from us, guys. I hope you have a great rest of your week. We'll see you next time. As we close our social media CigarNoise hashtags of the week, I'd like to say thank you very much to all of our special guests, everyone that makes this show happen each week, and Tom Thorough for sharing his musical talent with us.
That's tough. Do it again. You're banging those, right?
Yes.
Good.
Of course.
No, it's good. It's good. You're getting loose. You're getting loose.